colleague a tight smile. I could keep up the cheery pretenses with the customers, but not with Ash. Just feeling a bit under the weather again, I said sheepishly. I had only been working at Port Town Coffee for 6 weeks, and it seemed like every other day I was suffering from killer cramps, a terrible migraine, dizzy spells, painful bloating, or plain old pissiness. Oh, and a broken heart. I tried to keep my complaints at a minimum because I didn't want the manager, Shay, to regret hiring me, but sometimes it was hard to hide. Ash was extremely observant, too. He was a few years younger than me and had aspirations of being a criminal investigator, but his dirt-poor upbringing forced him to be a barista for way longer than he ought. I wasn't much better. There I was, a failed internet host who, despite having a degree in advertising, had found herself unable to get any kind of respectful employment aside from shoving coffee down Portland's throat. Not that being a barista was anything to look down upon. But I wondered if all my sudden ailments were related to the nagging feeling that I wasn't doing what I should be doing. That said, things weren't all bad. Ash was a cute kid, and I'd hung out with him quite a bit, as I did with Shay, Steve, Michaela, and a few other coffee pushers. We had fun at work, and when I wasn't being bombarded with people like Larry, who demanded the most ridiculous drinks, or Marge, the old lady who paid with pennies, the job was fairly low stress, and it allowed me to continue living at my parents' house without being guilt-tripped about it. It also ended the I told you so's, which had lasted for at least a few weeks after I returned from Seattle. Oh, yeah. Seattle. I don't like to talk about that time, let alone think about that time. That's probably why I'd been having so many icky dreams lately. My subconscious was pushing them up through the ground like bones through a fresh grave. To put it mildly, December had been a hell of a month. I was in a very black place, one I feared I would never crawl out of, but I did eventually crawl out of that hole, dragging myself out of the depression by my fingernails. My younger sister Ada helped. She was a great shoulder to cry on. And by cry, I mean slobber. I was an ugly, hysterical mess more often than not. I never knew that kind of agony before. Perhaps I had been lucky that so many boys ignored me for most of my life. Finally, getting this job helped too. It forced me to go somewhere every day and put on my best face. Put on my best face and try to forget the pain that still ricocheted through me from time to time. Pain that intensified when certain songs came on the radio. The pain that left you with a tear-soaked pillow in the morning. I never spoke to Dex again. He tried, though, but I'll give him no credit for it. I got calls from him right after he twisted that pin in my heart, a million voicemails that I deleted before I smashed my phone in a fit of rage. I got a new number, changed my email, and totally withdrew from the little life I had attempted, which meant no contact with Jimmy, Rebecca, or anyone at the ShowNet office. Nothing against them, personally, but it was just too hard. I needed to move on. By the time February rolled around, I was in a better place. Of course, it's not fun to feel sick all the time. I gained that pre-boot camp weight back, and I felt pretty disappointed in myself for taking the risk on Experiment in Terror in the first place, for putting my heart on the line. But I learned, and I will live. Do you still want to come out tomorrow night? Ash asked, his eyes staying on me and not on the customer who just walked in the shop. He had very nice, bright hazel eyes. They didn't appeal to me in a romantic way, but they reminded me of a brother I never had. Definitely, I told him. I pointed to the washrooms. I'm fine. I think I just need to splash cold water on my face. He nodded and took care of the customer as I escaped to the safety of the washroom. I was lucky to have someone like Ash. I was only working part-time, but I desperately wanted to move on to full-time and then, hopefully, shift supervisor. As you can imagine, I made minimum wage, and if I were ever to get out of my parents' house, I needed a lot more dough. Feeling sick and occasionally trying to fight back tears when Billy Joel comes on the stereo doesn't make me look like the best employee, someone Shay would want to eventually promote. But Ash has been the only one who has caught on that all is not right with me, and he's been doing a pretty good job of covering up. Of course, everyone else knows I'm not entirely normal, hence my nicknames.